Kitchen gadgets, love them or hate them, the best ones really help us out in the kitchen, and the worst ones just take up space and are of no use. Today, I want to try out 2 new kitchen gadgets that I'm hoping will solve some of the problems that I face in the kitchen. One of the gadgets we're going to look at today are oil sprayers. So currently, I use these 2 in my kitchen, and these I got on Amazon. And what I like about them is they're fairly easy to use. I like that they're dark, so they protect the oils from going bad, although honestly, I use the stuff in these so often that I'm not worried about this being here forever. I have one for a neutral oil and one I keep olive oil. And I use these sometimes just to spray a little bit on a piece of bread or a roll before I toast it in the air fryer, or on a grill pan, or to spray oil on roasted veggies. I use it for a multitude of purposes. And then of course I use it to cover things in either a neutral oil or an olive oil when I'm putting things in my air fryer. So I use these all the time. What I don't like about them is they get very oily quickly. When I am putting new oil in, it's just very slippery. It's kind of a mess. I don't know, it just seems like it shouldn't be as difficult as it is. For the most part, they work, but there's a couple of things I don't like. So, and the other thing is I label mine, and the oil makes the permanent marker come off. So I'm constantly trying to figure out which oil was which. So when I saw this other oil sprayer, I thought I'd give it a try. It is called Yarra Mate, and it's a 2-in-1 oil sprayer and dispenser. Kind of like that idea. If there's a way I can get oil out in a little slower rate when I'm not spraying, and then if it gives me a good spray, this could be a great solution to some of the issues that I see in the kitchen, and I know I would use it a lot. So I want to give this one a whirl. The other thing that is the bane of my existence is peeling hard-boiled or soft-boiled eggs. Who doesn't love a good hard-boiled egg sandwich? And I also love soft-boiled eggs to use in a variety of ways, oftentimes in Asian dishes. One of the reasons I don't cook hard-boiled or soft-boiled eggs more often is that I have never found a way that helps me get consistently the peels off more easily. So I came across this little gadget from someone on Instagram. It was a chef guy, and I thought, you know what, let's try it. Now, this is supposed to help you break eggs, regular and hard-boiled, and help the peel come off more easily. I don't have any problem breaking eggs that aren't hard-boiled, so I don't need that as an issue. But I thought this would be interesting to try and see if it helps me peel my eggs more easily. Then I'm also going to try the spoon method that I've been seeing a lot about that I have not tried yet, and see if that helps me. So today I'm going to make some soft-boiled eggs, and we're going to give this a go and see if it really does help us out. Okay, the water is boiling, so now we are going to put these large eggs that are on the little bit smaller side in quickly with a slide spoon so they don't break. I'm doing 4, and then we are going to cook them for 7.5 minutes. Now I am aiming for soft-boiled or jammy. I know that's a bit of a difference. I'm kind of flexible, so whether it's more on the soft-boiled side or more on the jammy side, I'm good. So we're going to keep this at this boil for 7.5 minutes. Okay, 7.5 minutes are up. Let's get these out. And I'm putting them into some ice water so they can cool quickly. And we're going to let them cool for about 3 minutes so we can handle them and try this egg cracker and see if it helps us get the shells off. See you in 3 minutes. Okay, our 3 minutes are up. So before we crack the soft-boiled jammy eggs, let's try it with just a regular old egg, because apparently some people find, you know, cracking an egg daunting. I, for one, do not. So I'm just going to try this out and see how it works. So you just put your egg in to the contraption. Let me show you what it looks like in there. It kind of has curves in there to hold the egg. And you cover the top. And this is where I feel like it's going to be dicey. And then you squeeze it together. I don't know if that worked. Squeeze it, and then you push these metal things to try to open it up. So, okay. That worked pretty easy for anyone that is daunted by cracking a hard-boiled egg. I know my youngest is a little daunted by that. He gets a little nervous every time, even though he cooks a lot and he's good at it. He gets a little nervous, so that might kind of take the fear away. It is a little bit of a couple extra steps. I would still do my whole like tap on the counter and break it open, but it does literally work. So just want to be clear. So that is the one way. But what I really want to know is how it tackles hard-boiled, or not hard-boiled eggs. And actually I want to know that too. But today I'm doing jammy eggs. So these have been chilling. And I think you do a similar method. So I'm going to take my egg. I'm going to put it in here. Okay, I'm going to close the top. And you do hear this little click when you get it far enough. I don't know if that matters. And now I'm going to put that in. And I don't know if I do it all the way because it'll go too far into the egg. Okay. So that didn't work. I will try it again. So now I'm going to try the spoon method because I do want these eggs to work. The spoon method, apparently you just get it under the skin. No, but see, this is what happens. This is what infuriates me about eggs. See how it's sticking. It is even that little bit of egg, part of white, it's just sticking. It's taking off a layer of white, and I like the white on the egg. So, okay, well the spoon method seems to actually at this point be doing better than the other method. So I'm going to finish the spoon method to get this skin off. So we'll try it again just to see. But look, skin still comes, some of the egg white comes off. And I want it intact. Like I want the pretty jammy egg, right? Okay, so there's one. Let's try it again. This time I'm going to let it go all the way through, but I think that's going to open up my egg. So I'm just a little concerned about that. Okay. Okay. So it looks like it worked, but friends, there's all that white in there. Oh my goodness. So that did not work because now I need to get the rest of that white out. And now it's a mess. So not super happy about that. If I use this to get it off. Okay, so then I will try the method that is usually what I stick to. However, it's very inconsistent, you know, and people have, I've read every trick and tried every trick of how to make it come out easier and prettier, but that is a real mess. Like, who's serving that? I mean, I can eat that, but who's serving it for company or anything like that? All right, so now let's try the old-fashioned method, which is what I usually end up doing if I feel like frustrating myself, and that is just cracking. I crack it all around. I also, I always try to get to the bottom where that little air, you know, hole is, and then I submerge it just to kind of, I know you can't see this, but I'm going to submerge it. Oh, that is very cold water. I'll try the spoon method. I usually just use my fingers. And that is very cold. I feel like submersing it maybe helps get some of that water in there to help it come off easier. And it did. So, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, at the end of the day, I think as far as eggshells go, there's no perfect way. They're going to come off nicely sometimes they won't. But look at this one. Even still some of the egg white came off. Still looking, still searching, have not found the perfect egg removal system. If you have a way that works, and I mean is guaranteed to work. It doesn't matter if your eggs are old, new. I mean, I need to know what it is because as much as I love eggs that are jammy or even hard-boiled eggs, I often don't do it because I just get frustrated with this. So please let me know down in the comments. So here's what the pourer and sprayer looks like out of the box. As you can see, it is not a darker glass. This one is glass as opposed to plastic of the ones I'm currently using. So it isn't darker, but again, I do use these oils frequently, and so I'm not worried about them really going bad, and I do keep them in my cupboard so the sun does not get to them, especially for the olive oil. And if you notice, there is this contraption here, which will help spray the oil apparently, and then if you do it this way, this pops, this little lever here, pops it up, and you see there's a nice little hole there that you could pour in a nice kind of smaller stream if you want to drizzle oil. So interesting for those two options. What's most important for me is the sprayer because I do have an oil cruet that I use to drizzle my olive oil. But in any event, I'm anxious to see how this works. It's important to note that before you ever use anything like this, you want to make sure and get it really clean, soap and water and dried, which I've already done. So we're ready to give it a try. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pour some olive oil that I use. If I like this, I would get a second one. I'm not going to pour a lot in because I'm going to see how I like it so far. But if I like it, then I could get a second one for my neutral oil. So we're going to just put the top on. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do, the pouring I'm sure is going to work pretty well. So the first thing I want to do is just do the spray and see how that goes. I have a green plate here to spray so that we can see how evenly it sprays. So I'm going to bring this over to you so you can see as I'm doing it. Might take a little bit to get the oil up there. Okay, so I don't know if you can see. Let me try to do it like this so you can catch. It did make the oil spray in a nice light amount, and it was fairly easy. So the next thing I'm going to look at is to see if there's any drippage here. Nope, very little oiliness there. So what I find with these is they just kind of become more oily the more you use them. Now I've just started with this, so I cannot vouch yet if it'll get more oily as I use it more, but I am excited to see that it seems to work pretty cleanly in that it dispenses the product and doesn't seem to get all over the place except for where you want it to go. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this up and see what the stream looks like when we use the pour feature. Again, this is not really what I'm getting it for, but I do want to show you how that works. So you get a nice drizzle. So, and you can control it by how much you tip it, how much is in there, but that is a nice drizzle. I prefer, for me, the drizzle of a cruet. I keep my olive oil in a cruet like this, and so with the drizzle here, it gives a much nicer or finer stream, I should say. So if you wanted a broad stream, that would be fine, but I still like my cruet because it gives me a little bit thinner stream and more control. I'm glad that one of ours was a thumbs up, and that is for this oil sprayer and pourer. But the egg hack, I mean, unless you're just having trouble breaking an egg, a regular old egg that is raw, I would absolutely not recommend this. So definitely not for the hard-boiled or soft-boiled eggs. So until we eat again, thank you so much. Bye-bye.